Hey guys, this is your host Eric. Today we are going to watch sci-fi genre movie called How I Became Superhero. Spoilers ahead, turn on your subtitle, I greatly appreciate your support. Enjoy the video. The film begins with a police officer named Morrow. Suddenly, he is summoned by his superior to handle an arson investigation in a nightclub. However, it turns out that he is too late to avoid making a bad first impression on his new coworker. The police chief even chastises him for his performance. As a result, the chief hires a lieutenant named Schultz as his partner. The first impression between them is not favorable, especially for Schultz, who previously disliked Mao's behavior. They receive an emergency call shortly after for a hostage situation at a school. The situation at school is extremely chaotic because one of the students has the ability to shoot fire from his hands. Aside from him, there is a student named Lily who appeared to be struggling to control her own power at the time. When the cops arrive, they immediately suspect the boy of being the mastermind behind the previous arson incident. While the other officers plan their arrest strategy, Morrow approaches the boy casually, carrying no weapons. He gradually calms the boy down until he accepts the opportunity. Morrow and other officers apprehend the boy. The police discover two strange and suspicious objects as a result of that incident. Further investigation reveals that the previous arson case was not committed by the boy. As a result, they conclude that there is someone else with the same power as the boy. A teenager is transacting the strange objects in another location. It is revealed that the strange object is a forbidden substance capable of bestowing superpowers on ordinary people. As a result, the other teenagers are very interested in purchasing the substance because of how attractive these superpowers can make them appear. Meanwhile, Morrow chose to leave Schultz in order to see his best friend Monte Carlo. He used to be a superhero who frequently aided society and was widely admired. He was later joined by two other superheroes, Callista and Gigaman, to form the Cold Pack Royal. However, due to his advanced age, he has retired from his superhero career. He met and collaborated with Morrow. That's why they're still there to this day. Morrow wishes to enlist his assistance in investigating the arson. He names Bracero as a candidate for the arson case after reading his notebook. Earlier, without further ado, Morrow rushes to find Bracero. There is a research center led by a woman named Naja. It is the research facility that produces illegal substances, which are also traded among teenagers. The following day, the police held a meeting to discuss the arson case. Morrow informs the rest of the cops about Brace just in time. Bracero has now been named as a temporary suspect in the arson investigation. As a result, the police chief immediately orders all teams to search for Bracero. Monty then calls Morrow to inform him that Bracero is currently working in a restaurant in Paris. The action shifts to Callista, who is now employed as a basketball coach. She possesses the ability to predict what will happen to a person in the future. Simultaneously, Morrow pays her a visit and inquires about the brace. Unexpectedly, she turns out to be quite familiar with Bracero. Morrow then asks for her assistance in finding Bracero, but she declines. He refuses to give up and continues his investigation with Schultz. They then proceed to the hospital, where the arson victims are being treated. One person has already died, according to the doctor. Surprisingly, the patient turns out to be Bracero, a victim of the illegal substance. The doctor also believes the substance is composed of human blood. Knowing the information they have, they can track down the true mastermind that night. They chose to stay up late and examine the CCTV footage from the scene. Morrow discovers one person who managed to flee the scene by chance from the photo. They are also searching every hospital that is treating arson victims. After some time, they locate the boy. The boy apparently ran away and chose to be treated at a different hospital than the one where he was being treated. It definitely makes them suspicious of him. They immediately question the boy, forcing him to confess who the dealer is by telling him what happened to Bracero. Finally, he claims that a man named Ishma sold the substance outside his school. He is, indeed, one of Na's subordinates, but he turns out to be secretly carrying some substances and vanishes from Na's base. Naja suspects him of betraying him and immediately orders the rest of his men to find out. The scene shifts to Ishmael, who is walking towards something in that location. The cops are waiting for him because they know he's about to be arrested. He attempts to flee the scene. Morrow and Shulman pursue him quickly and cooperatively. He is apprehended in a store. Following that, Morrow and his team question him directly, but he chooses to remain silent. The cops are becoming perplexed. Morrow, on the other hand, learns from Monty about a man named Eclipse who has the ability to blind others. They immediately suspect that person has something to do with their case. Eclipse then attacks the police station a few moments later. He is assisted by some of Na's men in order to free Man. Some police officers become temporarily blind. Morrow also encounters Schultz, who is also blinded and falls. Morrow is revealed to have the ability to move or lift objects with his hands, which is also known as telekinesis. He urgently uses his superpower to save the Schultz men. Meanwhile, Na's man at his base immediately takes Ishma away. Naja intends to kill him with his own hands. But first he informs Naja that he saw a police officer with superpowers. This information catches Na's attention, and he immediately dispatches his men to look for Moro. Simultaneously, Callista has a vision of two of her students who are about to die as a result of the substance. They will die as a result of Naja's newly developed prototype substance, which is given to them. They have no idea they are being used as guinea pigs. It turns out that Naja created the substance from the blood of a kidnapped girl named Lily. She is Gigaman's daughter, and the superpower in her body comes from the descendants of his late father. Moro, who is aware of this, is enraged and immediately begins an investigation into the kidnapping. Unfortunately, he is kidnapped and drugged by some NAS in the middle of his investigation. Fortunately, even in his unconscious state, he can still use his superpower and cause damage to the car with the pressure from his hands. And once again, he uses his power to remove the bullets, allowing the healing process to proceed. They take him to Monty's house to be treated. Callista has just revealed that Moro, like Pac Royal, is a superhero, but there was an incident that separates them. Moro, who was still unable to fully control his power at the time, made an unintentional error while attempting to apprehend a criminal. Cabone is killed as a result of his error. He never uses his powers again, but they have agreed to band together to save Lily and capture him. While waiting for Moro's condition to improve, they started an investigation and eventually found Naja's headquarters from a scientist. They figure out why Naja is acting so strangely. It turns out that he was previously used as a research subject for people with superpowers. As a result, he suffers from a mental disorder that drives him to seek vengeance. While Moro has not recovered, the substance is still present and is being used by a group of people to commit theft and murder. Finally, the group decides to attack Na's headquarters alongside the police. Of course, without Moro, Naja orders his men to bring all of his substances, as well as Lily, to escape from that location. Na's men have superpowers as a result of these substances. Fortunately, Amani can teleport in an instant. Meanwhile, Naja leads Lily down a different path with his man, but he is suddenly stopped by Moro. He challenges Naja so that he inhales more of the substance, making him stronger when he is caught off guard. Moro manages to get rid of him and instructs Schultz's man to transport Lily to a safer location. He then resumes his fight with Naja, who continues to inhale the substance until he becomes uncontrollable. Moro takes advantage of the opportunity to push him as far as he can before shattering and exploding him. People initially assumed Moro was killed in the explosion, but he thankfully survived. The movie concludes happily, with the arson case solved and Lily saved. Moro begins to accept himself as a superhero as well. We really appreciate you watching. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel with the notification bell because it is really important for us. Thank you.